So we're joined for our final guest of the 9 weeks by my man, Stephen O'Neill, general manager, owner of the Manship in Jackson. Fabulous restaurant there on State Street. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School. This is for our college career readiness class, our hospitality tourism career cluster. And we're recording this for all of our friends at Madison County Schools, Rosa Scott, our alma mater, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you for fitting this in your schedule today.
It is my pleasure. It's great to be here today and glad to represent our Madison County schools.
Oh, big time. Now, obviously, we want to talk about all the great things at the Manship and all the great careers in hospitality, but just give us a little background. We graduated Madison Central 2000. You were always working in the restaurant industry, worked in several restaurants in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then went to Mississippi State.
Yeah, went to Mississippi State, was working in a restaurant in a day that changed many of our lives that we all remember, which was 9/11. And so after September 11th, it's the only shift I've ever worked in a restaurant where not a single customer came through the door. And
Yeah.
it's because everybody was doing what we were doing. We were watching the towers, we were watching the news, we were trying to figure out what was going on. And that day was pivotal in my career because it was the day that I decided to leave college and join the Army and go overseas and serve our country. And doing that allowed me a different perspective. It gave me a new directive and set of goals and values that allowed me, when I got back out and got back into the restaurant industry, that led me to ownership.
Absolutely. And while you were there, you were in Iraq. You did sustain an injury in combat and got a Purple Heart, which is still just, even though it's a great honor, it's the least our country could do for people that go over there. But I think it's very interesting that because you mentioned how it shapes you, because the hospitality industry is all about working with anybody that comes to the doors, willing to spend the money to enjoy your atmosphere, your drinks, your food. And being in the military really is such a great way to learn that skill. And I have young people all the time that are saying, well, I don't want to go in the military. I don't want to get shot. Well, even though you were in combat, I'm sure you saw the many support jobs that are in the military that never really are in battle. There are so many great careers in the military where you can meet all kinds of amazing people, learn to work with anybody from any type of background, and really get a great sense of accomplishment by serving our country and getting those military benefits.
For sure. The military recruiters, especially in the Army, they'll tell you there's 211 ways to be a soldier. And really, out of those 211, there's about 10 combat roles that put you in direct combat. The other 201 help grease the wheels. They make everything happen that goes on with those 10 combat roles. But there's so many ways to serve on the front lines and behind the front lines.
Yeah, and like our friend Judah Clark, who graduated with us at Madison Central, he is a culinary expert with the Coast Guard, so he makes sure everybody on the ship is fed. And he said, yeah, every blue moon I'll have to do something crazy with a gun, but I'm there to cook and I'm there to make sure everybody's fed and make sure everybody is healthy when it comes to putting food in their bodies, which is kind of what you do now at the Manship.
For sure.
So just
Yeah.
tell us a little about how the Manship started, and because I think the restaurant industry, and I've got a lot of years in the industry myself. It's one of the most misunderstood industries because people say, "Well, you can cook, you need to open a restaurant." Well, it's a little bit harder than that. So, just talk about how the Manship was born and how you guys came to be.
So again, like you said, I'd worked in restaurants on and off since I was 15 years old. And when I returned home from the Army, went back into the restaurant business and was actually working two jobs. I was selling real estate by day and working restaurants and managing at night. And I knew that one of those careers was probably going to move a little faster. And I got lucky and had some people that really believed in me and said, "Hey, when it's time to open a restaurant, give us a call and we'll help get you off the ground." And so those four or five people were my seed investors that I started with, and then I had to go out and find eight more, and that process took 2 years. There were many times in that process where I just I had to pray about it and had to ask God if this was what's supposed to happen. He was going to lead me in the right direction or open a door that I didn't see. Because there were, you know, You get used to being told no when you're asking for money. And just because you get told no once, you can't stop. You just got to, pursue and have determination. And it took about 2 years to put the deal together, but it finally came to fruition. We were able to get enough people together to raise the money needed to build out a restaurant. And that's kind of the start of it. I'd been working for another classmate. I had been at Jackson Academy before Madison Central, and Craig Noon, and had opened Parlor Market, and I was working with him at that time.
Yeah, and that's the late Craig Noon. He tragically passed away a few years ago, but was one of the most incredible culinary people in Jackson history. And I
Yeah,
know it's all about learning the business, and I know you learned from a great one with him. Now, when it comes to a restaurant, a lot of things have to go on that people don't. I don't think, especially young people, realize because you've got to get the Serve Safe certification, you've got to have health inspections, and then when you do open, you've got to make sure you're beating the truck there when you get deliveries. You've got to make sure your budget is in order. You've got to manage staff. You've got to make sure the bills are paid. And it is a lot more than the fun stuff we see where people are enjoying your great food.
for sure. Most people don't realize our day starts at 6 a.m. We don't open until 11, but we've got people coming in the door at 6 a.m. to prep food, receive trucks, check the groceries in. And when you're checking groceries in, you're not only making sure that you're getting what you ordered, but you're making sure that they're not sending you something that's subpar quality. You've got to check
You do.
the quality and the freshness and make sure that what you're getting is what you want to serve your guests. Uh, and managing those relationships with the food vendors. And we deal with about 6 different vendors from 3 different states. We
Wow.
have farmers and people in Louisiana, Memphis, Tennessee, Birmingham, Alabama, the coast, the Alabama coast, through our seafood and meat and specialty vendors and things like that. So there's people all over, and then of course that's not even delving into the alcohol side, which is winemakers from all over the world and spirits makers and things like that.
Yeah, and that's a big part of your location, and we'll hit it up again. But your location is right there across from Baptist Hospital, near all the cool things happening in Belhaven right there on State Street, close to First Presbyterian Church and all that. But you're in a spot where a lot of people that are doing business in Jackson are that may be the first place they try. That could be their first impression of our area. So being able to offer those craft drinks, being able to offer those specialty recipes is so important because look, if people just want something simple, they can go to McDonald's, which is right down the street. But you guys are not only offering a dining experience, you're offering things that maybe people can't get where they're from.
For sure. We definitely try to bring a unique experience to the table, melding Southern flavors with different backgrounds of food and things like that. And we let our line cooks and our chefs show some of their background, their heritage, and their culinary experience from other restaurants as well. Spanish, Mediterranean, European influences rooted in Southern food.
Absolutely. Now, and I know you have been there, since the beginning. But I think one thing that a skill that kids can learn in a restaurant that can translate into any other field is that customer service and speaking and talking and selling, because so many people use the restaurant industry to master those skills. Even if you don't want to be in a restaurant full time, I always tell these kids, go work in a restaurant. It'll make you great at talking to people. You'll make connections. You'll be great at selling things. There's a ton of people. But we had our friend Clint Campbell here a couple weeks ago. He said, "I'd hire somebody at the car dealership that's got a background in restaurants because they've dealt with that face-to-face customer. They've dealt with that selling. They've dealt with knowing a product, and it is just amazing how every field, no matter what these kids want to do, because working at a restaurant is great to do while you're in college. If you're in
Mhm.
college, you want some money in your pocket, work in a restaurant and learn those skills and network."
For sure. There's one beautiful thing about the restaurant industry is there is no barrier to entry. There's no educational requirements. You can generally walk in with no training, with no history. You can find a position in the restaurant that's hiring, and whether that be back of the house as a dishwasher, or front of the house at the host stand, or cleaning tables, or running food and things like that, and get your foot in the door and work your way up. Show a solid work ethic.
Absolutely.
Again, have that customer service perspective, maintaining eye contact, being able to communicate with the guest, and working together as a team. Those are all things that happen every day. And one of my favorite things about the restaurant industry, and we talk about customer service, but everybody's a VIP. And
Yeah.
we are honored every day with the people that walk through our doors. And we're fortunate to serve, 300 plus people a day. And a lot of those servings and those patrons that come through, our guests, are celebrating. They are, they're there for a work birthday or a work retirement, or again, birthdays, anniversaries, engagements. We get to share the most memorable experiences in someone's life with them. They
Yes.
chose us to share that experience. And so that really is an honor to be able to share in those moments.
Yeah, and it's really a part of being an entrepreneur and being and running any kind of business. Because I always say the business needs the customer more than the customer needs the business. So you have to set yourself apart to show, hey, when we go spend our money there, we're going to have a great experience and get a great product.
For sure. And it's cyclical. The guests, we're there for the guests, and them supporting us allows us to support the community. When the local school district is having a raffle or doing something and they're asking for gift cards, it allows us to give back to the community and help raise money for Blair Batson Children's Hospital and schools and all the different organizations in town. American Cancer Society and Alzheimer's Association, which is now near and dear to my heart. A lot of veterans organizations. It helps make the world go round.
All right, before I get to their questions, something that I think is pretty interesting, and we mentioned your great food. How does a restaurant decide, you know, not only what goes on the menu, but what to charge? Because I think that's something that is lost so much when it comes to not only the restaurant industry, but businesses in general. Because we've had young people come right through these hallways, they'll start a business with a great idea, and I see what they're charging, and I immediately say, hey, you're not charging enough. Or hey, you're charging way too much. So it really is a scientific process, for lack of a better word, to look at, people go in a restaurant and say, man, this is cost a lot. Well, you got to look at what you're getting and you got to look at the process that goes into it. We can go get a $2 hamburger at McDonald's, but there's not near as much care and quality that goes into that product.
For sure. So we'll just take a single item and we're going to break it down. So if I get an entire New York strip loin, which would be a long loin of steak, this big, and we're going to make 12 steaks out of that loin. So I paid $300 for the loin. It's going to give me 12 portions. I need to divide those 12 portions by 300 to get that cost. And then our target in the restaurant industry is to maintain a 30% cost of goods or cost of food. And so then I have to divide the cost of that 12 divided by 300. I'd have to break out my calendar and get the exact numbers, which I'm actually doing because I'm like that. Uh, 300 divided by 12. So that's $25 a portion. So that steak costs me $25 for
Dang.
that in New York strip. And then we're going to divide that by 1.3 to get our 30% food cost, or actually 25 divided by zero point 0.3. And if I wanted to hit a 30% food cost on that steak, I need to charge $83. Now
Wow.
that steak to hit my cost, even at 83, like you said, that's too expensive. I can't charge that much for that steak. I can probably go to 55 or $60 on that steak, maybe even 65. And so I won't necessarily hit my target percentage. I can maybe hit that on my pizzas because my
Yeah.
pizzas are a lot lower cost. And so I can make up for the percentage on the pizza side, but I'm still making 40, $50 per steak.
Wow. Yeah, and those pizzas are incredible. I've gotten several to go over the years, and they just get better every time. So, and before we go, we will run through everything that you guys have just so they can have an idea and come check it out. But I do have some questions from the students, and these are all really good. I'll get through these real quick. This is Cortez Maxwell. He's in 11th grade. And he asked, "What is the most enjoyable part about working in a restaurant?"
Definitely the people. And both my restaurant family and our team that we have, we're all really close knit. And we are a family. We spend about as much time in the restaurant together as I do with my family at home, if not more. And so I see my restaurant family as much as I see my own family, my mom, my dad, my significant other. And so having that tight knit group of people to rely on is really satisfying, along with, like you said, meeting people from all walks of life, all businesses, and being able to serve those guests, hear about their job, learning what they do in the community, and all of those things. It's a great networking opportunity, and it's really fundamental, just good stuff.
Yeah, and it's crazy how, and you mentioned how all walks of life. I remember the last time I went in there for lunch because obviously I'm usually at school, but it was during the summer, and I went in there, and at one table is the now mayor of Jackson, John Horn. Next to him is my friend uh, Hunter Ransom, who's interviewing for a law firm, talking to some attorneys, and then I see a guy that just you know, beat up clothes. You tell me doing some type of blue collar work. So you had all walks of life in there, all enjoying the great atmosphere. So it really was. I just remember that standing out to me. It was like, man, really, everybody comes here, and this is really cool.
For sure. Yeah, that's so definitely one of the most enjoyable is the people.
This is Landria Wilder. She's a senior, our student council president here at Velma Jackson, and she asked, outside of your great food, how has your business benefited the community?
We are very fortunate to be involved in the community in so many different ways. As I mentioned, some of the charities we work with the Alzheimer's Association, the Cancer Society, numerous veterans groups, the Lighthouse that serves special needs students and things like that. We also work with Baptist has what's known as Project Search, which every public school district has some of those things. And so, Project Search at Baptist, we're a part of a training program that helps train people with special needs. And so, we can help place them in front of house or back of house. We actually have two part-time employees, Jordan and Ariana, who work with us that came out of Project Search. And
Wow,
Jordan helps wash dishes during the day, and Ariana helps out at the front door. And it's great because that improves, it gives them a little extra money on top of their disability to have a better quality of life. It gives
absolutely.
them, a sense of purpose and drive that gives them fulfillment. That's something near my aunt is has special needs, and so that was also something near and dear to my heart that I wanted to be able to participate in, and just happy to support those efforts.
That's awesome. This is Jeremiah Williamson. He's in ninth grade, one of our football players here. And he asked, how do you think your military experience most benefited you working in a restaurant?
So in the military, there's a process called task, conditions, and standards. And carrying that value and core belief forward really helps in the restaurant industry. We have a task. I need to clean something or I need to serve the table. The conditions, well, it's 80 degrees in Mississippi today and it's a little humid. The patio's open, the TVs are on, the wind's blowing a little bit, but it's setting up for having those things that you need for service when you need those things and preparing them. And then the standards are the standards that I put in place. This is the level of service, this is the level of product and quality and consistency that I expect across the board in setting those
Yeah,
standards. So task, conditions, and standards, you can use that in any avenue of your life in setting goals and how you achieve your goals.
absolutely. I got time for two more. This is London Curry. She's in ninth grade. And she asked, what is the most difficult part of starting a restaurant?
Ooh. Uh, the most difficult part is honestly, it's kind of going out and getting those investors and getting, people that some that know you and some that don't know you as well and proving your concept and saying, hey, yeah, we're willing to take a risk and go out there on a limb with you to help you fulfill your dream.
Absolutely. Well, I got one more. This is Erin Gaines. She's in ninth grade. And she asked, what advice would you give someone who wants to also be in the restaurant industry?
Work in it, learn it, love it. Like I said, I've been doing this on and off since I was 15 years old. The building is still there on Ridgewood Road, but originally it was a Copeland's. And I
Oh,
started out as
yeah.
a boy. And so I've literally busboy, server, bartender, expo, line cook, dishwasher. I've worked just about every position in the restaurant and learned those positions. And so once you have a good feel for it and you love it and you know that you love the people, again, going to culinary school is a great way to get better knife skills and learn about food preparation and all those things. There's a book I recommend to every restaurateur, and it's called Restaurant by Numbers. It's an accountant turned restaurateur who helps show you the guide ropes of really being what an operator is and knowing how to hit those numbers and those margins so that you can stay in business.
Love it. Now, we're almost out of time, and we just thank you so much for joining us. But a few things before we go. Obviously, we got fall break next week, so any of our teachers want to go try out some of your great lunches over there. Just tell us about what all you guys have as far as the lunch, and then some of your great dinner things you have for anybody that wants to come enjoy a great dinner over there at the Manship.
Fabulous. So we actually share a lot of our menu items at lunch and at dinner. So our appetizers, our salads, our pizzas, all of those are available all day long. We've got some great classic entrees like shrimp and grits, a New Orleans style dish, redfish on the half shell. You mentioned you were looking at our rotisserie chicken.
Oh yeah.
And so we serve a half chicken that we can either do barbecue or Greek style with a little chimichurri on it. And then we've got again, pizzas, chicken. We've got steak frites at lunch and dinner, two different cuts. We use a baseball sirloin cut at lunch, and we're using a fillet at night. And it's great cuts of beef that we can get in. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. If you like seafood, salmon is grilled salmon. We actually use an imported salmon. That's kind of been in the news lately. If people follow food trends of being able to serve domestic or foreign, but a Scottish farm raised salmon is one of the highest quality products available anywhere in the world. It is very good. There's nothing wrong with that foreign sourced product compared to the rest of the domestic product that we serve right out of the Gulf of Mexico. And so we
Wow.
do get in our redfish, our shrimp, and all of those things right from our Mississippi Gulf Coast, and we support those fisheries and the processing houses at Inland and New Orleans Seafood. Uh, Again, just great opportunities there. Golden tile fish, red snapper, red drum, all the things that come from the Gulf.
Big time, and and with the golf tournament in town, obviously you guys are probably going to see an influx, so that'd be great for you as well. Now, the last thing before we go, we mentioned how transferable all these skills that kids can learn in a restaurant are. So, why should they really consider working in one of these places while they're in high school or college, as their whatever decisions they decide to make with their future?
Again, I think it's a great opportunity because the work hours are very flexible. So depending on your class schedule, you can work as little as you want to or as much as you want to. Restaurants will generally let you work, as few as two, three shifts a week, and as many as six or seven or nine. And so really just depending on your course load and whatnot, there's the flexibility there to earn as you're going through school. If you're like me and you weren't very smart and you didn't get many scholarships or anything, that helped get me through school when I was up at Mississippi State before I decided to go in the military.
Absolutely. Well, I know you got to get back to work, and we appreciate you so much for joining us today. But my man, Steve O'Neill, over at the Manship, go see him right over there on State Street. It'll always be a great time. We thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Greg. Y'all have a great
I,
day.
I talk to you soon, buddy.